Hey gang, Massad Ayoob here for the Wilson Combat YouTube channel. While you're here, be sure to subscribe and ring the notification bell. I've been asked to talk to you today about a phrase that turns out to be pretty toxic, particularly in the legal world, and there's some misunderstanding about it in the gun world. And that phrase is shoot to kill. Now, if you've studied use of force law at all, you know why police are taught and responsible concealed carry classes are taught. We shoot to stop, not to kill. Unfortunately, spend enough time around the Cracker Barrel at the gun shop or on some of the gun forums, you'll hear some guy say, yo, what's this namby-pamby shoots to stop BS? We're shooting them here, right? We're shooting here if that doesn't work, right? We're honest. We real men shoot to kill. Anybody tells you that has probably never been to court except to pay a traffic ticket. Words mean things. And what it comes down to in the end is purpose. Any kind of a self-defense shooting is what's called an affirmative defense. You're stipulating that you are the one who shot the individual in question, but you and your legal counsel are maintaining that you did so in justifiable self-defense or defense of some other innocent party. The purpose of your shot is what it's going to come down to. It's not a whodunit. We already know who done it. We're stipulating you're the one who pulled the trigger. What it comes down to is why did you do it? And if you're foolish enough to say, I shot to kill, if someone even tricks you into saying yes to the question, did you shoot to kill? That is seen as the purpose, and it entirely alters the way it's seen by judge and jury. A part of the prosecutorial burden is establishing an element called mens rea. If you're taking notes, that's spelled M-E-N-S, next word R-E-A. From the Latin, that means the guilty mind. Your accusers have to show that you either acted with a criminal intent or that you acted with a level of negligence that was so gross it rose to a culpable standard, that is, a guilt-producing standard. What was the purpose of your shot? The purpose of your shot was to protect you and other innocent parties from criminal violence. That's where the term shoot to stop comes from. We don't shoot to wound. If you said, gee, I only meant to wound him, you'd be saying, well, gee, even though he bled to death, I only meant to wound him. Well, by your own lights, you used deadlier force than you yourself obviously thought was allowable. And you've set yourself up for a manslaughter conviction at the least. We don't shoot to kill because that is essentially admitting my purpose was to end this man's life. Sort of like Clint Eastwood said in the movie Unforgiven, to take away everything that man ever had and never would have. And you might hear an argument from opposing counsel in their final argument to the jury that sounds a lot like that. Let me give you an example from the state of Texas within just the last few years. State of Texas versus Amber Guyger. Amber Guyger was a young female officer in the Dallas Police Department, lived, as many people in the city do, in a cookie-cutter condo-type apartment where every floor is laid out the same, every room really is there, every apartment is laid out the same. And she came back after a particularly long and exhausting double shift of serving warrants. On the phone in her car, she drove into the parking garage, parked on the wrong level, and stepped up into the building at what turned out to be one floor off her own actual floor. Moving by force of habit, she goes down the hall. Her door is X number of doors down from the entryway from the parking garage. As she starts to open the door, realizes the door is ajar. At that moment, glancing at as the door starts to swing open, she sees a large man coming toward her. She said he was going, hey, hey, hey! She is still in uniform, still armed, reflexively draws her pistol, fires 2 shots. Those shots killed a young man named Botham Jean, an accountant, in his own apartment. He had been sitting there eating ice cream. For whatever reason, his door was defective and had not fully closed. Only then did she realize she was in the wrong apartment. The fatal shooting created a firestorm of controversy. I have some issues with the way her defense was done, but I have the advantage of 20/20 hindsight as well, which her counsel did not. As I watched that trial on live stream, I had no part in it myself. I watched as on the witness stand she was asked, "Did you shoot to kill?" And her answer was, "Yes." And I remember I literally cringed from the screen. You can imagine what they made out of that, and they did. In final argument, they put great emphasis on the fact that she said she had shot to kill, her intention was to kill, and she was convicted of murder and sentenced to several years in prison. Her team naturally appealed, and when the appeal was denied, if you look up this case, it's Amber Guyger, Guyger. The court explicitly said that she herself had confessed to the intent to kill. The intent to kill was seen in and of itself as mens rea, not only by the triers of the facts, the jury, but by the appellate court itself. That is the power and the toxicity of that phrase, shoot to kill. You'll be asked, why do you carry a gun? Why was that gun even there for you to shoot that man when most people don't walk around carrying guns unless it's their part of the job? Your answer, quite simply, is that it's emergency safety rescue equipment. Its function is analogous to a fire extinguisher. There are certain things that can only be dealt with countervailing force, and homicidal violence expressed by criminals certainly meets that standard. You carried that gun to stop your children from being kidnapped, to stop yourself from being raped, murdered, put in a hole in the ground where you could never see your loved ones again. We carry the gun to stop the threat, and when the time comes, we must pull the trigger. We pull the trigger to stop the threat. Learn from Amber Guyger. Words mean things, and that hackneyed phrase is truer more in court than anywhere else. There's a reason we shoot to stop. And if you ever hear someone giving that chest-thumping shoot-to-kill argument, I think we have almost an ethical obligation to correct them. I want to thank you for listening today, and thank you for tuning in on the Wilson Combat channel. There are lots of speakers here with lots of topics and lots of knowledge bombs. Don't forget to subscribe and remember to ring that bell. We'll see you next time.